Okay, so if you want to toggle like I do, I use 6 to toggle. So to toggle, you go to settings and see where it says shader toggle key. You just put any key that you want in order to toggle. So like I say, I use 6, so 6 is very easy for me. I don't use 6 in the game. Make sure it's a key that you don't use in your game, because then it's going to get mixed up a lot. So yeah, I use 6. Also in the settings, you could also toggle the overlay key. The overlay key is what gets the Gshade menu here. So I use shift 1. So I press shift 1, it comes off my screen, and I press shift 1 again and it comes on my screen. So you could be able to toggle on any key that you want. Just make sure it's not a key that you use in game. And then there's a lot of other settings as well, but those are the main 2 that you really want to press on. There's different modes as well. You can do a next preset key. If you have a lot of presets, you just press on that key and it just takes you to the next preset, or a previous preset key, same thing, it just takes you to the previous preset, stuff like that. So let's go back. So right now we just have vibrance on, and already it made the game so much more better. So this is clarity. Clarity gives it more definition. So if you can see, there was like kind of like a little change. Yeah, it just gives it more definition on everything, more shadowing on some places. This is a Gaussian blur. I like using the blur because it gives kind of like a dreamy effect. I really like dreamy effects in the game. So that's what it gives so far. So just from using these 3, I already made a preset. That's it. That's all you need. This is just for the cast though. You could be able to make 2, so you can make like a video cast only preset, and then you can make, I'm calling it video because it's mine, but you can make a cast only preset, or you can make a gameplay only preset, or you can make a both preset. You don't only have to use presets in game, or you don't only have to use presets in cast. You can use presets in order to do whatever you want in the game, you know? So in my case, I use presets for both. I use it for gameplay and I use it for cast. Some I use for pictures and stuff like that. The ones that I use for pictures, some of them I mostly don't use when I gameplay because I need to be able to see the words and stuff. Some people, like me as well, I make presets where it's used mostly for pictures and stuff because we want the pictures to come out looking more dreamy, more of this, more that. It gives more emphasis in the pictures. That's another thing as well. So if you want to do just for cast, you're kind of set here. If you want a more bright thing, if you don't want a brighter, you just really like turn it off, you know, if you really like the aesthetic of the game and stuff. So this is another one. This one gives it its color, HDR. So HDR gives it its color. This one is if you really want more like saturation. So again, this is how it looks without HDR, and then this is how it looks with HDR. So let me move it to my brown skinned girl, because we've been staring at Raphael's beautifulness. So this is Shanice. This is how it looks on her. See? This is what HDR does. Like I said, you do not have to use this in a order. You could just experiment and just click as much stuff as you want. So another thing is also curves. Curves also gives it its shades as well, and it makes it much more saturated. Yeah, it makes it much more saturated. And also HDR also has kind of like a, it's basically high definition. I think that's what it stands for. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but I won't show you. I'm gonna show you the MXOW I'm MXAW and the QMX, anything that has to do with that. I'm going to show you that later on. I'm not going to show you that yet. So this is another Gaussian, I think that's how you say it. See, it just shows more of like it gives it more of like a strength in terms of like color and saturation. It gives it a blur as well. So I think that's out of Gshade, like the preset itself. I kind of like it like this. If you want to add more, you could be able to add more. If you see that it's like too paling, too white, too this, you could just take it off and then just do it like that. See? You could do it like that as well. So for me, I think I kind of like this preset. I think it's kind of good without the Gaussian. And if you also aren't sure if you want to keep it or not, if you like the Gaussian but sometimes don't, you could just do a toggle key. So you press the left, no wait, you press the right part of the mouse and it enters into this mode, and you could just do a key shortcut. So I'm gonna do Shift 2. And now you could be able to toggle it off and on if you want. So me pressing Shift 2, it comes off. See? See? So that's how that works. So we're gonna leave it toggle just in case I want it. You could also put a tint if you want. So this is how the tint would be. Right now there's not, I didn't put any like actual like, so tints, some tints can actually make it more brighter, some tints can make it darker. So I'm gonna put the tint right here. So again, if you want to toggle it, you can, but this is where the tint is right now. So yeah, so in terms of the Gshade, I'm actually done for the cast version. Now we're gonna get into the in-game so you can see what I'm also talking about. So this is just the cast version. If you just want to stop at the cast version, you can, if you do. So this is it toggled on with the Gaussian effect. Like I said, you can just toggle on as well. And yeah, so now we're going to get into gameplay and I'll show you the rest of everything. So stay tuned. Okay, we are back. So this is how the Gshade looks in game. For example, this is the game without Gshade. You know, let's go into tab real quick. This is the game without Gshade, just for example. So this is the game without Gshade, and then you put the Gshade on. This is how the Gshade looks without no shadowing, no nothing. If you know, just how we did it in cast. So if you want to add shadowing and stuff like that, you go back into Gshade, and remember these parts that I was talking about that we'll touch on later on. So now we touch them. So you press on it. As soon as you do, it's gonna give you some shadows. See, you can see it from the trees already. I don't know. See, it gives you some shadows already. And if you want to add even more shadows, there's some more. You can add this gives you more shadows, but you have to be careful because it has this little line thing. So for me, I'm not going to put that. There's so many other things you can just experiment from if you really want to. So I'm just gonna see what else. There's also a film grain if you want to put a film grain. Do I want to put a film grain? Let's see. I don't think so. I think it looks good without a film grain. We're not gonna put a film grain, but if you want to, you could. This is another, I think this is another version where it just like creates more of a background. So this is another DOF, like another like blurred background, but we're not gonna get into that yet. So this is another thing where you can like put more shadows and stuff like that, but you have to also be careful because like I said, it has like the line thing, but if you're not bothered by it, you can use it. Sometimes I get bothered by it, but not too hard. Let's see. Again, I am not a pro at this. I don't call myself a pro at this. These are just stuff that I learned on the way. So this is another version that you can use. See, like it just gives it more shadows and stuff if you want it. Let's see, this is another mouth version. See, it gave it way more shadows and stuff. This is another mouth version, more shadows. So if you want, you can really make a very beautiful preset, you know, get your shadows and stuff like that. Have as much fun as you want with it. It's a game, guys. So yeah, and then you have the sow. See, that makes it more, I think that makes it more like clear and like more like, I don't know how to explain it, focused on the colors. You have this as well. You have tone map. I do not know what tone map does, so I don't really touch on that. You have also vinaigrette. So yeah, you have so much. So now for the blurring part, for the blurred background, for the cinematic parts of it, which goes into what I'm actually going to say. So the DOF is what helps you blur the background, so you don't really get the background feel, but you only focus on the sims. So if you want a blurred background, usually it's the ones that I touch on if I want a blurred background is the ADOF. So as soon as you get press on that, it gets there, but you have to really zoom in on the sims when it's time to take pictures in order to get that focus, just them. Again, if you do really want to use this preset as a gaming preset, you can always click the left mouse and set a toggle key. Okay, it's very important. If you do not want to use it sometimes, but if you want to use it sometimes, you make sure to set a toggle key. So in my case, I'm not going to use this. I don't really need to. Not that I don't need to, but I don't really want to. Like I'll show you the one that I'm kind of obsessed with at the moment. So in terms of cinematic, like I was saying before, this is the cinematic DOF. Now the cinematic DOF, it works as the other one, but it does not go to the same extent. So the cinematic DOF, as soon as you put the mouse on them, they're already focused. And I really like the cinematic DOF one because it really gives off that, like, I don't know how to explain it, like good memory, playful vibes type thing, you know, that's what it gives off, and I really like it. So you see, I really like it. But yeah, you have to also be careful because some of them has like that thing, that line thing. Let me see if I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Oh no, wait, hold on. Oh my god, where? Okay, see that line thing? Don't be alarmed if you get that, you know, some things just come with that. But yeah, another one would be anything that says basically DOF. It has a blur on it. See, anything that says DOF, it has a blur on it, 100%. That's how much I do know. So this is the one that I'm currently obsessed with, and I'm actually going to toggle it. So like I said, left click on it and set your toggle mode. So I'm going to toggle it to shift 4. There we go. So yeah, I toggled to shift 4. So let's just see the other ones real quick. See, you have a light DOF. I'm not going to press on them. You have light DOF far and near. You also have magic DOF, Marty McFly magic DOF. There's just a lot of DOFs that you can be able to choose from if you really want to have that, like, you know, background, you know, really fun background and stuff like that. So also, if you want if you're going down the list and you're seeing the ones you want, you press on them and you don't want to keep going, you want to keep scrolling and stuff, you press active to the top. It even takes the one that you keep pressing like in and out, you know, keep toggling on and off, and it takes it all to the top, so you don't have to keep pressing on it. That's another thing that I really like. You can also search up which one you want if you're used to it and stuff like that. You can do as much things that you want. So right now I have this DOF toggled and this Gaussian toggled because I don't really want the Gaussian too much and I don't really want the DOF too much. Sometimes I just want a gameplay. Sometimes I want to take pictures. That's why I toggled them. So we take it off. Now we go into, before we take the pictures, we have to get rid of this little green guy right here. Now to get rid of this, to take pictures, you press Shift Control C. Let me just take off the filter real quick. So you press Shift Control C. You put testing cheats true. Then you press enter, and then you put in headline effect. Oh, sorry, I don't know how to spell. Headline effects off. Then you press enter. So as soon as you press enter, the headline effect is off. The plumbob is out. So if you want to put it back, you just put headline effects on, and then it brings it back. So this is just not the plumbob that's going to disappear. It's basically every single over the head thing that's going to disappear. The names and everything's going to disappear if you don't put it on. It's only going to come back on if you come out of the game and then come back in. That way it's going to come back on, because all the testing cheats that you took off is off. So in my case, we're going to put it back in. Alright, so I had to take off the, sometimes also seeing the change between your Gshade and your game is wildly different too. So what I like to do, I go into tab, I position how I want the picture to look before I put the Gshade, and if my Gshade has a background, because I'm going to be using this as a thumbnail. So this is also what I do for thumbnails. So if the picture is going to be for a thumbnail, I put it on the side so I can put the words and stuff like that. So I position how I want it, and then I toggle on the Gshade. And if the Gshade is in perfect area of how I want it, I immediately press my snapshot key. My snapshot key is B. I'm going to show you in a second how to put your snapshot key. So as soon as you press it, you wait for the sound and the picture's taken. So that's all that is to it. Now to do your snapshot key, you go to settings, the same settings that I said here already. If you don't remember what I said here, you could always go back, and you go down to screenshots and you go to screenshot key, and you put a specific key that you know you don't ever use in the game, other than, you know, the ones that you use up here. Do not use the same key over any of these. You cannot use the same key. It has to be different keys, and make sure you don't really use these keys in game. So for me, the easiest one for me is B, even though every time I type B and stuff like that, it just screenshots in the game. Screenshots. I don't have that problem because I don't really use B, but if you know that you use a letter a lot, do not use that letter in terms of toggling anything or screenshot anything, because then you'll just screenshot everything all the time, keep toggling stuff, and it's just going to be a big mess. Make sure to use a key that you do not use. Even if you have to shift it, shift it. If you really want these pictures to come out with the Gshade. That is something that I currently learned because I've been using gshades and gshades for a while, but I never could figure out how to screenshot with a Gshade on the picture until I finally got it. You have to put a screenshot key, and you have to make sure it's a key that you do not use a lot. I cannot stress this out, okay? Okay, so mine's is B, so yeah, that's how you do it. So I'm gonna pose them another way, and then I'll show it again how I do it. Okay, so this is another pose that I put. I just wanted to test this pose that I got. If you guys want me to also do a video on how you install poses, how you put poses in the game and stuff like that, how you pose your sims, also comment down below, because I would love to do that video, because I was struggling at first and there wasn't really a lot of like good videos to help me, so I had to like watch like videos like in like bits and it'll be helpful with just all one video. So if you guys want me to, I will also do that as well. But yeah, this is another picture. So again, I toggle, this is the Gshade toggle off. I press my toggle key for Gshade, put it back on, go to tab, direct it how I want, and then I press my screenshot key, and then I wait for the snap, and then that's it. That's all there is to it. And I toggle off the DOF so I can see how my game is without it. See? Alright, let me do an ending screen and I'll be right back. Okay guys, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys like how I explained how to use different kinds of Gshade settings so you can make your own Gshade, and how to do the screenshots, how to toggle it off, how to toggle the Gshades menu, how to toggle different settings that you don't want all the time, how to get the DOF and stuff like that. I hope you guys like the way I understand it. Please excuse the stuttering and stuff like that. I'm really not good at describing things, so if I sound stuttery and stuff like that is because I'm really not good at describing things. If you would like me to do any other video in terms of how to pose a sim, how to download pose and stuff like that, please let me know in the description down below. And like I said, I will be also putting down a link in the description of how to download Gshade specifically and the presets, if you really want to do that instead of like making your own Gshade. But this is just if you want to make your own Gshade. This is just like settings that I use, or settings in general that would make your Gshade look really nice and lovely. I can't wait until I see all of your Gshades and stuff like that. And comment down below what would be the name of this Gshade that I just made. Also, if you would like for me to put this on my Patreon, I will put it in my Patreon so you guys can get it. I make on my Patreon. I currently make Gshades, I make tattoos, I'm learning how to do poses and stuff. So if that sounds like your thing, also press the link in the description to my Patreon so you can guys go see what I have there already. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Until then, bye.